Welcome to Bringing IP to Life. I'm Anna from Amanya IP and Amanya Design, and I'm joined by my guests to talk about IP. We're going to hear people's stories of their creativity, business, and entrepreneurship. Intellectual property can be a really dull subject until it becomes personal. This is aimed to help see the relevance of IP in everyday life. Welcome to the show. So welcome back. This is Nigel's second part of his chat about his business and creative journey and all the things that he's been creating. And we're going to hear a little bit more from him now.
Yeah, and I've made mistakes in the past. When I started Simply Customer, there were 4 of us in the business for the first few months.
Right.
For various reasons, the other 3 dropped out. But as we were creating the customer website, there was a lot of content we were putting on.
Right.
And it's typically articles with photos, etc. And maybe about 2 years ago, I got a notification through that we got an unauthorised photo on the website.
Okay.
And I ended up having to pay, I think it was £450.
Oh, yeah.
Because they'd not got the licence. Obviously, then I went right through and looked at, have we got everything else licensed and we've got all that evidence? Because something like that could come out completely out of the blue.
That's it. I was talking to an organisation last week and they had exactly the same issue. They'd shared on somebody else's post and they got stung.
It's been a long journey with a few bumps in the road.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. And I think that's one of the bits as well about all of us that work in business. You're building something, creating something, and you need to make sure that nobody can steal it from you. Because you can just imagine that must be. And I know you've I've listened to you talk about the McDonald's story. And,
McDonald's, yeah, that's right.
That must have been absolutely heart-wrenching for them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Just, if you think you were the one on the receiving end of that, and all your hard work, and even your name, it's just like, and that can happen to anybody who doesn't have the knowledge to know how to protect their staff. I mean, you had enough knowledge to know how to address it right from the start, which made a huge difference to your whole business plan. But a lot of people don't. Until it gets to the point where it might be too late, or they might be stuck in a legal wrangling, which is awful for anybody. So.
Yeah, and I've made mistakes in the past. When I started Simply Customer, there were 4 of us in the business for the first few months.
Right.
For various reasons, the other 3 dropped out. But as we were creating the Simply Customer website, there was a lot of content we were putting on.
Right.
And it's typically articles with photos, etc. And maybe about 2 years ago, I got a notification through that we'd got an unauthorised photo on the website.
Okay.
And I ended up having to pay, I think it was £450.
Oh, yeah.
Because they'd not got the licence. And it was that long ago, I haven't a clue who did it. But obviously then I went right through and looked at, have we got everything else licensed and we've got all that evidence. Because something like that could come out completely out of the blue.
That's it.
Yeah,
I was talking to an organisation last week and they had exactly the same issue. They'd shared on somebody else's post and they got stung. And you're just like, it may not even be your, from your website or from your social media. It might be that you've commented or shared, I'm not sure about commenting, but certainly shared somebody else's post. And you're just like, you don't want a £450, £400 fine out of the blue from somewhere. And these companies will have software that will track their property and see where it's being used. So, and the law doesn't give you grace for ignorance. You've broken the law or you've broken our terms, conditions, therefore pay up. It doesn't have any kind of like, okay, you didn't know. it doesn't have that allowance. So yeah, it's just worth getting to know these things so you don't end up getting stung.
Yeah, and it's fair enough, isn't it? Because essentially you're stealing somebody else's property.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. If you were on the receiving end, you want somebody to give you money for what you
would. Yeah.
Yeah. So, shoes on the other foot, if that's the case, you'd want to be the one that says, actually, I don't want you to use my stuff for free. So, Nigel, I know that this was a bit of a bumpy ride for you. What does the future hold for you for Bubul?
Oh, that's a good question. Ideally, we are going to grow the team. So there's 3 of us in the business at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to grow the team to between 15 and 20 people.
Excellent.
And I think that'll take us about 5 years. And what I want to do then is create an employee ownership trust. So essentially, sell my shares into the trust, so the employees or the trust will own the business, and all the employees will benefit. The reason that I want to do that is that as you build a business, you create a set of values which tend to mirror your own.
Yes.
And there are things that you want the business to do and not do. And I want that to continue. I've not built it to make a fortune. I've built it. Yeah, I'd like the money back that I put into it.
Of course.
And some more.
That's
Yeah, but I built it to make a difference. So that's the bit. And we're still a micro business. So at the moment, we operate on a shoestring. The marketing's on a shoestring.
Right.
Lots of things that we've automated to do ourselves.
Right.
But we've also, as we build the business, we've done things such as we didn't buy a plug-in e-commerce system. We tried that and we broke it. So we had our own bill. We didn't use an off-the-shelf CRM system. We had our own bill, so we can keep adapting to that as we want to do so. So there are quite a few things that the business owns now in terms of assets and with the intellectual property that will go along with those.
Right.
But yeah, so basically through the marketing that we're doing, through partnerships we're talking to people about creating, we'll reach lots and lots of small businesses. We'll make a big difference to them. And then we're going to go, well, I want to go international before I finish. Yeah, the model that we've got currently would make that difficult.
Right.
But I know exactly how I want it to operate. It would involve quite a lot of artificial intelligence.
Right, yes.
And we've looked at, could it be done now?
Right.
And the first answer I got was, AI is not as advanced as it needs to be for us to do that.
Right.
But what we are looking at is, how do we use AI within the business to automate a lot of tasks and get rid of things that I do currently?
Okay.
So that's underway. Although interestingly, I've now been told that Microsoft last year built something that would work in exactly the same way for a different subject matter as the way that I want Bubul to develop.
Okay.
But they shut it down because it was too powerful.
Wow.
So I'm going to look into that. And I know how you can create limits around AI. But I think I'm going to end up in the next year or two working with quite a lot of AI experts. And just build and go where we need to go with that. Because I think that's going to be a critical piece for every business going forward.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Big dreams, Nigel. Big dreams.
You know what? If you don't dream big, you're never going to get there, are you? To me,
that's it.
I remember I was talking to a group of business students last year about my business journey. One of their questions was, are there any business leaders that inspire you?
Right.
And I said, well, I think probably the one that actually, Bruce Springsteen's the one that really inspires me, but he's not really a business leader.
No.
But Richard Branson is someone to admire for me. And so, why? And they've not heard of him. And I said, well,
right.
bear in mind, this was an 18-year-old I was talking to.
Okay.
So he started his business selling vinyl records by mail order. Didn't have an office, but he used a phone kiosk. What's a phone kiosk? What's mail order?
Oh my.
Basically, he started with no money, no stock, no office, nothing. Paid for some advertising. They built it up that way, and now look at him.
Yeah, that's right.
I think to have that drive and that focus and that ambition, and to dream big and he's achieved it. And he might not have achieved everything that he wants to do, but what's the story? If you shoot for the stars, you might hit the moon.
That's right.
There's no reason why anybody can't achieve anything that they don't want. I think quite often we allow ourselves to limit ourselves, and we shouldn't.
Yeah. I agree. And like you say yes, and then work out how afterwards.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us will have been in that camp, just like, yes, I can. And then thinking, oh my goodness, how on earth do I do that?
Yeah, and I think, that's similar. Well, it's in life and in business. Just go with your gut and say yes. And I didn't think I didn't plan all of this, but a lot of the things that have happened to me. So at one point, I was in Bangkok teaching 13 Ethiopian bank managers about customer experience and customer journeys.
Wow.
You can't plan to do something like that.
No.
I've written 3 books. I've got e-learning out there, but it's all because somebody said to me, you should do so and so. What about this?
Yes.
And I've just gone, okay, yeah, sounds good. I haven't got how to do it, but perhaps how do we do it? And then you find the right people to work with, and you can achieve anything that you want to do. Yeah,
it's good. It's a real testimony to, just going out there and doing it, and not staying in that place of safety where I don't ever want to live with what if, and you just wonder what could have happened if I'd done this, or what could have happened if I'd done that. I think don't live with that, because that would just be, a niggle that I would just not be able to get over. But actually doing it, and we're going to fail. That's part of succeeding. Getting up and picking ourselves up again and going on is what's important. So
and I think I've failed at lots of things. There's lots of times I could slap myself for why did I do that, or did it do it that way?
Yeah.
I know now. There've also been. I mentioned one time where I gave up. There was another time where I absolutely hit rock bottom, and my wife came home from work and found me curled up on the floor. And I was in a really bad place. And what I did was I either would have given up, and I would have always thought, what if? And I thought, I can't do this on my own, I need some help. And I reached out to 6 business owners that I knew, and I said, I need help. If I buy you breakfast, will you give me a morning? And that, essentially from that, we created an advisory board. And then people that are at the end of the phone, or we can meet up fairly regularly, talk about what I'm doing, any issues that I've got, any pressures I'm feeling. And they're there to support me all the time. So it's build your network, build people like that are supportive and that you can support.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's magic.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's so easy to give off a public, persona about how well it's going, or what's happening here and what's happening there. And we're not going to share all the ugly stuff with everybody, but it is important to have a few, or at least, an inner circle where you are able to be real, and you are able to say, this is actually really what's going on, and have that support, because, you can't do it alone.
You can't, and I think sometimes, I mean, I did a series of LinkedIn posts last year about all the mistakes I've made.
Wow.
And I just had sort of loads of comment and loads of interaction from that. Because people are sick of seeing I've got £1 million turnover, here's my new car, here's my new house, both of which are documented. And people trying to just say how brilliant they are and how easy their life is. When nobody's is. Everybody's life's difficult.
That's right.
Yeah, I actually got a few comments saying you shouldn't post about mistakes you've made because people will think, because people will look at that and think, well, they can't be that good, can they? But it's the reverse. People look and think, okay, so he's honest, and he's still trying. I think my final joke was I was going to write a book about all the business mistakes that I've made, but I realised it would be longer than the Harry Potter series.
Yeah, and all the ugly stuff that goes with it. Gosh, yeah.
If you'd like to know more about intellectual property or IP, check out the Amanya IP website at www.amanyaipcourses.com. Courses vary from general basic understanding about IP for adults, young people and students, through to professional courses and courses for the USA market. The courses are aimed to help young people, students, designers, artists, business owners and entrepreneurs become IP smart to enable them to protect their dreams.
Okay, Nigel, let me ask you, what would be your advice to the younger Nigel about the business journey you've been on? What would you say to him about how he could do things differently?
Okay.
Because you could talk to him now, couldn't you? What would you say?
So the first thing I'd say is start earlier.
Right.
So I was 53 when I started my business.
Okay.
And there is a reason. And just to sort of take you back a bit, when I was 4 and my twin brothers were 8 months old, my dad worked in a small business.
Right.
The 2 partners had fallen out. One wanted to sell and the other one was going nowhere. And my dad thought he was going to lose his job. So he went to the bank and he borrowed the money to buy the business. And he borrowed about 10 times what he'd borrowed a few years earlier to buy the property. So, it was a big commitment, especially at that time of his life. And he ran that business for 20 years.
Right.
Never got any advice as he was running it. And he ended up having to close it. It was linked to the textile trade, and as that vanished, he vanished.
Yes.
And the stress of all of that made him ill. Made my mum ill. And we both had really poor health for the rest of their lives.
Wow.
And that terrified me, thinking I'd never want to go through anything like that. I'm going to have a nice, comfortable corporate career.
Right.
Which I did, until the company got taken over and the values of the new company didn't match mine.
Right. Yes.
And I just turned 50 and I managed to get early retirement and voluntary redundancy. So financially, life's going to be good now.
Right.
And then I went contracting with large corporates. And got to the point where I hated that because they just don't listen. And that's why I set the business up to work with small businesses and help small businesses. Sorry, it's a long start to the answer. It depends when I met him, but I think there's a few things. One, I think like everybody, I've always had self-doubt.
Right.
And I would say to him, you can do anything that you want to do. You've just got to keep going at it.
Yes.
And I think don't be afraid of hard work and long hours, because you're going to have those.
Yes.
I've had a tendency sometimes to, what's the easy thing
Right.
to do, rather than what's the smart thing to do.
Right.
And don't worry if you don't succeed at first.
Mm-hmm.
But make sure you do something that you absolutely love.
Yes.
And that you're passionate about, because otherwise it's just a job.
Yes. Yes.
And then I think the final bit would be really get to know yourself, what you stand for and what your values are.
Mm-hmm.
And don't ever work, if you're going to work for somebody else or another company, don't ever work for a company that doesn't have those values.
Yes.
Because it will just be painful.
Yes.
And if you're going to work for yourself, always put your customer first.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on that customer totally. Do everything you can to keep your customers happy and keep them. Because not only is that sensible from a financial point of view,
Right.
it's the right thing to do, and you can sleep at night.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Sorry, that'd be quite a long conversation, really.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, there's sort of things you've learned over the years, and if you could rewind, you'd probably do things differently. But
it's interesting. If I'd had that conversation with myself when I was 18, 19, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
Wow.
I would be running a really nice bookshop that had a coffee shop.
Wow.
That at night turned into a wine bar with live music.
Oh, that's just totally different. Wow.
That would have been that. And when I was at sixth form, I decided not to go to university for a year.
Right.
But then I was going to go, and I wanted to be a journalist and then become a writer. I was going to say I never went to university. I didn't go to university until I was 62. I did my MBA, so I never got to do that.
Amazing.
I never became a journalist because it just looked like too much hard work.
Right.
But I've ended up writing and having 3 books published. So I've ended up as a writer. So life works in strange ways, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Sometimes the things that you want to do, you will achieve them, but just in different ways to how you thought.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So Nigel, please tell us how people can find you, and what can they do when they get to where they find you? What's the best way for them?
Okay, so the best thing is to go to the website, which is bubbleexpert.com.
Mm-hmm.
And there they will see an explanation of what Bubble is. They will see more about me and the team behind me. If they're starting a business, they can get their own free version of Bubble and get a really good start in life as a business owner. If they've got their own small business and would like proper advice that's focused on them at an affordable cost, they can buy Bubble for £20 a month plus VAT.
Right.
And they're not tied into a long-term contract. So we rely on, if we give value to people, then they'll stay there. If they're an accountant, we love to talk to accountants because we do Bubble packages for accountants.
Right, yes.
So again, they can go on the website, they can book a demonstration, get a trial, etc. Or anybody can find me on LinkedIn and connect with me. And then you get to read some of the rubbish that I post about and things that I post about things that intrigue me sometimes. I post about business related stuff.
Yeah.
I post about things that really annoy me. So at the moment, you'll see quite a lot of posts about the post office inquiry.
Right.
Because that's the perfect example of a business and people whose values are so alien to mine. I'm pretty much to everybody's. But,
yes.
That really annoys me.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people will agree with you on that one. Yeah. So, Nigel, thank you so much for being part of the show today. And please do check out his website, check out what he's doing. And it's growing in stages and developing and getting bigger and better in different versions, isn't it? So
yes.
Watch how he's developing that vision. So please make sure that you follow and subscribe so you don't miss the next show. And if you've enjoyed this show, please share on, and you can hear more for the next one. The next guest I'm going to have, it's going to be somebody I'm going to talk about his filmmaking. So that's going to be the next part of my show. And that's it from me today. And thank you very much, Nigel, for joining me.
Thank you, Anna.
It's been a pleasure having you on. So always happy to hear from people if you want to get in contact with me. And have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the show. Like, follow and subscribe to make sure you hear about what's coming up next. You can head over to the website www.amanyaipcourses.com to find out more. See you again soon.